All right, I wanted to answer a couple of the questions you guys sent in yesterday. The first one is by Millennial Trendsetter. Any helpful techniques or movements I can do while shadow boxing? All right, I think the way to think about this is, what is our goal shadow boxing? It should be to improve the execution of our techniques, to improve our boxing game. I think a lot of times people go into shadow boxing, especially if it's a warm-up, and especially if it's warming up to the more important things like heavy bag or sparring. They'll get in there and just kind of go through the movements. It gets very monotonous. And anytime it gets monotonous, the brain kind of checks out. Kind of just moving the arms, seeing what everybody else is doing, seeing if I look good. If I'm in front of a mirror, how do I look while I'm doing it? Get away from the mirror. Imagine yourself in a fight. Imagine thinking about somebody punching at you, somebody reacting to your punches. They're throwing a jab. How am I going to catch that? When I catch that, am I in position or am I out of position? If I want to catch and come back with a right, catch and come back with a left. If I move and fire a combination, how does he block that? When he's coming with his punches, how do I respond? Get your mind in the game like it's a fight. Hope that helps. Good question. Second one, like the beer, Big Amp. Thanks, Kel. This is from Luke, JVA16. Having trouble putting my hip into my hook when I throw it. I keep using just my arm. All right, the best way to train your hip to drive a punch is to remove the arm altogether. And I talked about this a few videos back. I don't remember if I put it here on YouTube. Remove the arm altogether. The way we do that is by pinning that elbow against the side during the entire execution of the punch. When we do that, the hip is forced to turn if you want to bring any power. If you're not bringing any power, you're not going to be able to crack an egg with that punch as long as we maintain that contact with the side. So keep that in the side, get up against the bag, and learn to turn the hips and shoulder into the bag. And the beautiful thing is, it's the exact same movement of a punch. All you do is just bring the arm out when we want to actually execute a correctly thrown left hook. All right, where's the other side? Dan. How about this golden symbols? How about some good stretches that are boxing specific? All right, I'm not huge on stretching more than a decent level of flexibility. If the question is, what are some stretches that are going to improve my performance, improve my speed, improve my power? Static stretching will actually do the opposite in a lot of cases. It attenuates that stretch reflex if it's done right before a match. Like, the worst thing you can do before a boxing match is start doing some long 30-second, 60-second stretches. You want to work on mobility instead. So the entire body mobility, neck mobility. Just try to reach those end ranges of motion. Turning it side to side, up and down, shoulder mobility. Again, you're trying to get that range of motion, loosening up the joint capsule, loosening up the musculature, getting some warmth, getting some blood flowing in there. But think to yourself, if there's a specific technique that you're doing that you're not able to execute correctly because there's limitations of your range of motion, well, then you might have to work on some flexibility or some joint mobility in specific areas. Lower body, you can just kind of pop down into a squat. You can do some bootstrappers, just loosen everything up. Again, don't hold that stretch, except for one exception. One thing that I would work on stretching the musculature is the chest. And the reason is, a lot of us walk around kind of hunched over, and that can, over time, wreak havoc on your shoulders, on your back, on your neck. We need to open that up a little bit. Now, if we're fighting, this is a great position to be in. We're closed off, we're not as vulnerable. walking around in life, this is a terrible position to be in. Learn to stretch that out, open up the shoulders. Hope that helps. Let's do I know some direct message questions came in. Let's hit one of them. Who came in first? All right. Trying to cut, gained a fair bit of muscle. What's the easiest and quickest way to drop fat? All right, let me preface this by saying I'm not a nutritional scientist, but I have certainly read a lot about it. I have certainly tried out what works best on me. Now, if you're younger, a lot of times you have a higher metabolism. Combine that with a high workload, eating clean, and you can kind of keep everything under control. As you get older, certainly in my case, the tendency to deposit body fat is a lot easier. What I have found to cut that back, I mean, I'm 45 years old right now, and I'm able to keep it lean for the most part by increasing my fasting. Now, there's 100 different ways to do that. What it looks like is kind of what works best for you. So whether that's in a compressed eating window, maybe you stop eating at 8 o'clock at night, you don't eat again until 12 or even 2, whether it's an every other day fast, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I kind of do a longer fast. Maybe an extended fast of a day or two, that's not always practical for repeated usage on a regular basis. But the idea is we want to kind of deprive the body of food for a period of time so that it needs to tap into its own fat stores. Again, that is what I have found to be effective for me, or simulating a starvation diet like something ketogenic. Figure out what works for you. If you have not experimented with fasting, with extended fast on a daily basis, compressed eating windows, I would say that might be your best shot initially to start losing some of that body fat. Hope that helps. We'll shut it down today. Give me a couple days. I'll answer a few more questions. But great questions. If you have any more, just leave them in the comments.